What is the best-sounding airline in China? It's called Joy Air. Is Joy Air joyful? No, it's not. Who isn't joyful? Its employees aren't happy. A few days ago, someone privately messaged me, asking me to expose Joy Air for not paying its staff salaries. This situation is particularly difficult for workers. According to the whistleblower, Joy Air has been withholding hourly wages for 20 months. As we know, in the civil aviation industry, employees typically earn a base salary plus hourly wages and allowances. Let's take a basic flight attendant as an example. They earn 80 yuan per hour. If they fly for 80 hours in a month, they can earn 6,400 yuan plus their base salary. But if the company doesn't pay these hourly wages, how much can they earn? They might only take home 3,000 yuan, but they still have to work and fly.
Recently, several employees of Joy Air have reported that the company has been withholding both base wages and hourly pay for the past 3 years. Some employees have even mentioned that their social insurance has been neglected as well. One person ridiculed that they are really afraid that the pilots will suddenly feel unhappy while flying. According to a report from the Chinese media Red Star News, Mr. Liu, an employee of Joy Air, stated that the company currently owes him nearly 10 months' worth of base salary. The company has failed to pay over a year's worth of social insurance, as well as more than 2 years' worth of housing provident fund and pension contributions. Based on some of the payment notifications Mr. Liu provided, his hourly wage has at times been as low as over 100 yuan. His pension records show zero contributions for several years. Apart from these issues, he also remains uncertain about the unpaid heating allowances. Mr. Liu mentioned that after his wages were withheld, he tried to communicate with the company, but the response he received was that the company simply didn't have any money. If employees inquired further, they were told that salary payments were being processed and would be issued soon, but after a while, there was no follow-up. Ms. Wang, another employee of Joy Air, explained that the company has been sporadically paying wages since 2020. Sometimes there would be a 1-month delay, other times 2 months. Although hourly wages and base salary were initially paid, starting in 2021, the company began to withhold hourly pay. Ms. Wang revealed that she still has not received her October salary, and in September she was only paid 1,000 yuan, about $138 as her base salary. Ms. Wang reported that some employees' social insurance has been discontinued, which makes it difficult to switch jobs. If they were to leave for another company, they would have to pay for the missing contributions themselves. In the civil aviation industry, pilots' salaries typically consist of a base salary plus hourly pay. With the base salary often being just a few thousand yuan, if hourly wages are withheld, employees' income can be severely reduced. As the wage arrears have accumulated over a long period, some Joy Air employees have resorted to alternative jobs, such as working in food delivery, driving for ride-sharing services, or even setting up street vendor stalls, trying nearly every means to make ends meet. Mr. Li Wei, a former pilot at Joy Air, mentioned that the company still owes him around 50,000 to 60,000 yuan in unpaid base salary. His housing provident fund and social insurance have also not been paid for a long time. Including the previous unpaid wages, the total amount owed to him is estimated to be over $13,800. In order to survive, Mr. Li worked as a food delivery driver for about a year and a half. While the earnings weren't as high as his previous salary, the flexibility of the job and the fact that there were no delayed payments helped him cover some household expenses. According to his food delivery records, in September he earned over 2,900 yuan, around $400, sometimes working until the early hours of the morning. Mr. Chen, another long-term employee of Joy Air who works in the flight department, disclosed that he has not been paid for 9 months, and his housing provident fund has been in arrears for 3 years. His social insurance has been suspended since December 2022. Although he is still flying, his flying opportunities have significantly decreased. Now in his 50s, he cannot take on side jobs like the younger workers. Due to the wage arrears, he has had to rely on his credit cards, and he fears that if he is unable to repay the debt, he could face legal action and be forced to sell his home. Founded in 2008, Joy Air is a regional airline in China, jointly established by the Aviation Industry Corporation of China, AVIC, and China Eastern Airlines. The airline's original headquarters was located in Xi'an. In November 2018, China Eastern withdrew from the operation of the airline, and the largest shareholder became a subsidiary of the Xi'an municipal government, which holds a 65% stake, while AVIC retained 24%. According to Tianyancha, a Chinese business data platform, as of 2024, Joy Air is involved in 66 ongoing legal cases, nearly half of which are labor disputes. One employee vowed that if their social insurance, provident fund, and full wages are not paid, they will not withdraw their lawsuits. However, some employees have confided to reporters that the operations of this Xi'an government-affiliated airline are in a very abnormal state. Ms. Wang pointed out that employee benefits are extremely poor at Joy Air. The company currently operates 3 Boeing 737 aircraft and 2 domestically made Xinchuan MA planes. Despite the ongoing wage arrears, the company has been spending money on new uniforms for staff, operating a VIP lounge at the airport, and purchasing 2 new VIP cars. Ms. Wang finds these actions puzzling, as the company seems to have money for such luxuries yet cannot pay employees their salaries. She also revealed that Joy Air has over 900 employees, with an oversupply of flight attendants. Typically, only about 30 people are needed to operate one plane, meaning that a workforce of just over 100 could easily handle the remaining aircraft. Nevertheless, the company continues to hire more staff. Mr. Li Wei also shared similar concerns, expressing disbelief that the company could afford to distribute holiday gifts despite the ongoing wage arrears. He remarked that the employees' priority was resolving basic living concerns, not receiving gifts. Frustrated by the situation, Mr. Li and his colleagues had previously approached several authorities, including Xi'an Aerospace Investment Corporation, Xi'an State-Owned Asset Supervision and Administration Commission, and the Civil Aviation Administration of China Northwest Regional Bureau. While some promises were made, nothing came of them. On December 1st, Xiaoxiang Morning Post contacted Joy Air official customer service. The staff acknowledged receipt of the complaint and said they would forward the matter to the company's PR department, which would then get in touch with the reporter. Why is Joy Air putting its employees in such dire circumstances? The airline, initially a regional carrier, mainly operating the Xinchuan MA-60 aircraft, started exploring a hub-and-spoke operation model only at the end of 2021, a model that is still in its experimental phase. Due to the high operating costs and a limited customer base, Joy Air has struggled with profitability and has been operating at a loss. Additionally, the low utilization rate of the MA-60 aircraft and its poor market acceptance has kept costs high. By mid-2023, the airline's debt-to-asset ratio exceeded 200%, signaling serious financial distress. This large deficit raises concerns about the industry's future, especially as other airlines are facing similar challenges. According to reports, major Chinese airlines such as Air China and China Eastern are also forecasting losses in the range of 2.3 to 3 billion yuan for the first half of 2024. Even airlines that were profitable in the first quarter of this year, like China Southern and Hainan Airlines, are now expecting significant losses in the vicinity of 1.6 billion to 600 million yuan. Data shows that the last time these airlines reported profitable annual financial statements was before the COVID-19 pandemic. As for the reasons behind the ongoing challenges, several scholars point out that the deteriorating Chinese economy and the declining domestic and international travel rates have been a crushing blow for the aviation industry in China. According to data from Cirium, a company expert which provides aviation data analysis, in July, the number of outbound flights from China was 23% lower than the same month in 2019. To boost flight volumes and turn a profit, as of October 27th, China's Civil Aviation Administration began implementing the 2024 winter-spring flight schedule, with both domestic and international airlines planning to increase the number of flights by 1.2% compared to the previous year. However, despite the increase in flight numbers, competition among airlines has intensified, leading to price wars and poorer financial performance. After the Golden Week holiday in October, China entered the off-peak travel season. This led to a sharp drop in ticket prices, with some tickets even being cheaper than high-speed rail tickets. One Chinese person posted on social media that a flight from Shanghai Airport to Dalian Airport was priced as low as 99 yuan, about $13 US. Further searches revealed that flights from Beijing, Guangzhou, and Chongqing to various destinations were priced around $40 US. Data from the Chinese travel platform Qunar showed that overall, ticket prices for popular destinations in the fourth quarter dropped by 7% year-on-year, and were nearly 40% lower than during the Golden Week holiday. Some people expressed frustration, asking if the declining ticket prices would result in losses for airlines. In response, Chinese civil aviation personnel explained that while falling ticket prices might lead to small losses, not flying at all would result in much greater losses. This data has led some people to analyze that this may reflect the current unemployment situation. After losing their jobs, some people still have savings and choose to travel for leisure, while others, despite facing economic difficulties, manage to choose affordable travel options by cutting back on other expenses. However, in general, analysts from Travel Daily believe that the overall economic uncertainty in China has led people to prioritize saving. While people are still going on vacations and shopping, they are more frugal in their spending. One Chinese citizen, Mr. Tian, expressed that the issue is not a lack of willingness to travel, but rather their inability to afford it. He highlighted that even those with relatively decent salaries, around 3,000 to 4,000 yuan per month, are finding it difficult to make ends meet. He noted that recent trends show a sharp decline in hourly wages, with some dropping from 20 yuan to as low as 6 or 8 yuan, making it hard for people to cover basic living expenses, much less afford leisure activities like travel. On the other hand, China's political environment has also affected the development of the aviation industry to some extent. Internationally, Chinese financial scholar He Jianbing stated that the number of foreigners traveling to China has sharply declined, particularly after the implementation of the national security law. Countries such as the United States and Taiwan have issued travel warnings, which has had a negative impact on foreign tourists. As a result, the number of international visitors to China is far lower than before. In June of this year, global international flight passenger volumes reached 5.35 million, a 112% increase from the same month in 2023. However, routes to China remain relatively empty. In 2019, nearly 98 million international tourists visited China. In contrast, in 2023, this number dropped to only 25 million, including business travelers and students. Data from Cirium and VeriFlight show that the number of flights between China and the U.S. is currently about 1/5 of what it was in 2019. Rough calculations suggest that assuming flights between China and the U.S. were full before the pandemic, the current monthly passenger volume has dropped by 93.7%, leaving only 6.3% of the traffic from 5 years ago. Director of the Tourism Industry Research Center at Edith Cowan University, Dr. Sam Huang, cited a 2023 survey by the Pew Research Center in East Asia Forum. He noted that most people in Western countries hold negative views of China. The tightening of social regulations by the Chinese government may cause discomfort for foreign visitors. China's political system not only deters international tourists, but also restricts domestic travel. A former legal advisor to the Inner Mongolia regional government, Du Wen, said that strict controls on public officials' overseas travel, including the confiscation of passports, have limited domestic mobility. Despite increasing flight frequencies, passenger numbers have plummeted, leading some experts to warn that the industry is facing inevitable restructuring or bankruptcy. In addition, some industry insiders believe that China's high-speed rail competition is significantly impacting the aviation sector, especially for flights under 1,000 kilometers. Data shows that by the third quarter of 2023, there were approximately 7,500 direct aviation routes, while railways offered more than 11,300 direct routes. Around 3,700 routes overlap between aviation and high-speed rail, with more than 1,900 routes directly competing. This means roughly a quarter of routes are in direct competition with high-speed rail. Moreover, the Chinese government continues to invest heavily in rail infrastructure, with fixed asset investment exceeding 800 billion yuan by September this year, surpassing levels seen between 2014 and 2019. As a result, the expansion of rail services, including more frequent trains and an increasingly dense network, is likely to intensify competition between airlines and high-speed rail for medium and long-distance travel. Aviation industry insider Lin Zhijie analyzed in Chinese media that high-speed rail competition is one of the contributing factors to the losses suffered by airlines in the first half of the year. China Eastern Airlines also pointed to intensified competition in the domestic passenger market, along with high fuel prices, as factors that have impacted the airline industry's performance. Regarding the profit expectations for the second half of the year, several aviation industry insiders expressed pessimism, noting that it will be challenging for domestic airlines to achieve profitability in the latter half of 2024. This is primarily due to oversupply, as the industry is struggling to recover, despite the continued increase in flight numbers. Professor Zhou Jianjun from the Civil Aviation Management Institute of China also predicted that the air transport market in 2024 may not see overly optimistic performance. The third quarter could be less than ideal, he said, and climbing over obstacles will be the true picture of the industry throughout the year. From the perspective of aircraft fleet size, by the end of 2023, China's civil fleet had grown to 4,200 aircraft, an increase of 35 from 2022 and 382 from 2019. Moreover, passenger numbers in 2023 have not returned to pre-pandemic levels. On the demand side, consumption recovery has been slower than expected, and with factors like high-speed rail taking market share, the gap between supply and demand is widening. As a result, the industry is facing continued challenges. According to aviation expert Chang Tao, when analyzing the market over the past 2 years, the supply issue is not even worth considering, as it has certainly been excessive, but the growth in supply will be slow. Based on these conditions, Schubert Liu, Chief Operating Officer of Trip.com's Group International Business Division, used civil aviation data to forecast that by the end of 2024, inbound flight capacity may not even recover to 80% of pre-pandemic levels in 2019.